Welcome to the Trades and Secrets podcast. My name is Jeremy Wenger, your host. I'm excited to have somebody here that I've known for years, actually. And this guy is in his field, in the remodeling field. And I mean, I'm telling you, he is one of the best in the industry. I don't say that lightly. And anyone that I have on this show, I don't ever say anything about them just to fluff them up, just because they're on the show. And so this is real. This is genuine. This is Rob. This guy is the owner of Remodel 615, and I just wanted to have him on the show today because, again, I know him personally from behind the scenes, and he is a guy of integrity. And gosh, I think has like 5,000 offices in Tennessee. And so, no, just jokes aside, he's very successful in his field, and he's great at what he does, and he's got a character that truly shines, and that's why he's been able to really have a successful business. And so, with that being said, Rob, thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been an honor to know you, and just share with everybody like how in the world you got into remodeling. Why remodeling? Like what got you into that?
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate the invitation. I'm glad to be here. Just a quick correction, though. I am one of the owners of Remodel 615. Cool. My business partner, Noah Stewart, is an integral part of this, and I would not be here without him. So how did I get into this? I think this was birthed a long, long time ago out of necessity. I grew up in Detroit, and I spent a lot of time out there trying to find myself. Graduated high school. I got about 3 months of college in a community college and decided, actually it was for fire science. I was going to be a fireman. Had a vision issue, couldn't get into the trade, and failed. I got multiple jobs. I floundered a lot. In about 1998 or 7, I can't remember exactly. It was about 1998. I went to my church pastor and said, I need a real job. I need somewhere that I can make a living and do well. He connected me to this contractor in town, let him know that I was seeking, and he backed me up. He said, show up the next day. And I showed up. I didn't even have a tool in my pocket. I just showed up in my beat up old Ford Tempo. And he said, where are your tools? I said, I don't own any. And he said, don't come back tomorrow without this list of tools. So then that was my direct straight to Home Depot, buy some tools and come back to work. That was pretty cool. That man taught me a lot. My dad taught me a lot when we were growing up, but my dad was always a handyman, always remodeling our house. We moved our house and our kitchen, I think, about 4 times from one side of the house to the other and back and back. I don't know how that house was still standing. We moved so many walls. But Dan took me under his wing, and he taught me how the business of construction worked. And there's a whole different side to this industry than just swinging a hammer. You can be really good as a craftsman. You can be really good at your trade. If you don't know how to run a business, I can tell you from experience, you will fail. I have failed a couple of businesses in my past because I didn't know what I didn't know. So that's how I got started. And that was 24 years ago ish.
That's been awesome. And I gotta ask too, like with your dad being a handyman, I could sense that there's man, like he really poured into you. And because in remodeling, like a lot of people don't, like, they overlook that. A lot of times they don't connect the dots, and they overlook like how the handyman craftsmanship is so, like, it comes in handy, no pun intended. Like especially during remodeling, because like the little things it's just the little things that matter so much in remodeling. That like, how often does what your dad taught you come into play, like every day, like every week?
I would say every day, definitely. Just knowing what comes next and then what's after that. I think it's the biggest key. If you're actually on the ground doing the work, and you need to put a piece of trim on, but you know that something else has to happen before that, and then you know what's happening 2 steps ahead. If you do that installation a certain way, it makes the next 2 steps easier. So knowing the entire process is really great. That's where a project manager comes involved, because they're generally a jack of all trades, but typically a master of none. And then you have your subcontractors or your specialists who are masters of their trade, but they don't know the generalized scope of work from foundation to roof. So that project manager is that glue that holds all those different specialists together. Someone that says they can do everything, well, good on them, but how good are you at everything, or how good are you at one or two things? When we're hiring somebody in our company, we actually make them tell us the top 3 things that they're good at, because everyone comes in the door saying they're good at everything. And we say, well, out of these 7 trades, what would you call your top 3? Rank them 1, 2, 3. And those are the things we expect from them when they walk onto the job site. If you say you can hang and finish drywall, then hang and finish these 2 boards and show me.
I'm laughing because it doesn't take long to find out how bad they are at certain things.
Unfortunately.
It probably takes the first day?
That is probably the thing. Yeah. Day 1 is usually a tell. We've learned to interview better. And like I said, Noah is my business partner, probably one of the best interviewers I know. He's one of the best recruiters I know as well. And he weeds out a lot. He weeds out a lot of bad help.
I've been in that recruiter seat, and I'm laughing so hard because I know that to some people, I bet Noah comes off as like really crass and rude, but I imagine he's very direct, and he can sniff through the smoke and just all the garbage right away.
So I know that you've never met him, but you just labeled him really well.
Anybody who's a recruiter has got to sift through the and he's got to sift through the nonsense.
So he's the operations side of our business, and he does a really great job of that. So that's why I said I could not be here without him.
Oh, I'd imagine, man. That's amazing. I mean, because I remember my first venture being a hardscaping company, I was in Noah's position, and that was so funny because, oh gosh, these guys would call, and we've got a second landscaping company now, and it's like these guys, man, I swear, like they'll call and be like, "Oh man, yeah, I can do that, that, and that," just to get the job. And then when push comes to shove, it's like, bro, you got to do the work, right?
You do.
like, what were you thinking? And I mean, man, it got to the point where I was on the phone with him, and I mean, I would give me maybe 30 seconds in 2 questions, and I knew if they knew their stuff or not. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there's specific products that you could ask them specific questions about how to deinstall them.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man,
if they didn't know the right answer, they were off the phone immediately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Gosh, and that's what's awesome too, is that within our within blue collar trades in general, like it's oftentimes where, like, because I know for a fact, like because my dad was in the tree industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean I went into landscaping and hardscaping, and that's my lane, and it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that he did that I took with me and apply every day, but also 2 things that I learned that he didn't do as well, that I reverse engineered and worked backwards and applying it into my own life. And I imagine it's the same thing too, and I want to segue over to like where when you got started, I know that there was a lot of stuff that you had to leg up on because it was generational, and there was a lot of stuff that your dad poured into you, but I imagine too, there's a lot of stuff that you had to learn on the fly as well. Being able to make sure you have all your accounting, all the different, like the boring stuff, right? All the kind of nasty, it's just a bland and boring, the things that taste like cardboard that we all have to do.
Have to have
but
it.
Like, I can imagine too, there's a lot of stuff that you had to learn on the fly. Like, what were some of the biggest things that you had to power through that you had no choice whatsoever to learn? Like, what were some of the biggest things? I know there's other people that are out there in remodeling and just in other industries that are struggling. Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that you had to overcome just as jumping out into this and jumping into faith and doing your own business?
So, couple things. I would say, 1, understanding what you don't know and trusting other people who do.
That's good.
Trust the people around you that God puts in your path that know their specialty And I'm not talking about trim carpentry or tile or, framing. I'm talking about trust your financial director. Got to put somebody in your path. Maybe it's your wife. Maybe it's your husband. Maybe it's your mom. I know a few contractors out there whose mom answers the phone and does their books.
100%.
Somebody in your life has been put there to do that for you. Trust them. And when they tell you, if my director of finance listens to this, bring them your receipts. Turn in your receipts. It is uber important. Beyond that point, trusting people.
Turning in your receipts too is like, it sounds so simple, but it can be one of the biggest headaches ever. Oh, mercy.
Wait till you have a dozen credit cards out there with everyone with buying power and
God, that gives me my stomach knots. Oh
yeah, and all those people are like, why do I need receipts? So yeah, trust those folks because they know what they're talking about, and they're not just trying to make your life hard. So
actually, what's funny, really quick on that note, I know so many different owner operators that struggle with that. A lot of times they're like, they don't. My dad was the same way. My man, oh bless it. My dad's accountant. I hated him.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, my dad would just arrive with a gift bag of receipts. Like he's like, figure it out. Like that was literally, and he had that mindset because he would always make this comics. I was always working with him behind the scenes. Like, man, my accountant hates me and all this. Like he's trying to make my life hell. That's what he would say. I'm just like, dude, no, he's not. No, he's not. No, they're not. And
so on that note, I would say, gain a team mentality, and that doesn't mean you have to hire a bunch of people. If you hire a CPA who only checks your books once a year and enters your receipts and does your taxes, treat them as a teammate, not the enemy. If someone answers the phones for you and schedules your bookings, even if they're a third party outside, they're not hired by you, treat them as a teammate and talk to them as a teammate. And when you talk about them as a teammate. It will create,
that's huge. That last
it will create a team aspect.
That last part of what you just said right there is positioning them as a team member to the rest of the team.
Yes. And to the rest of the world, to the clients,
that's huge.
That's my team member you're talking about. Let's take a step back.
That's powerful because a lot of contractors that I've personally worked with that literally, it doesn't matter if I could be consulting with them, working with them, I actually being the team that is helping them fulfill whatever the case may be. And then even see it's wild, man. Like even recommending them to people, the walls go up. Like
one of my least favorite things is hearing a drywall guy complain about the framer.
Man, seriously.
And all of them do. Let's be a team.
Yeah.
Let's be a team. Let's not badmouth each other. Let's not tear each other down. Could we all use a little education from the guy who follows us? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And could we be more accepting of that education? I could. But there are people ahead of me in business who teach me every day. And I learned from you, Jeremy. So I appreciate that and I accept it. And I understand that I don't know everything and I'd love to know what I don't know. That seems to be a theme today.
Yeah. And that's, man, and you ever hear sweet talk to me over here, like sweet potato chips. Yeah. But like it's, but no, that's been, man, there's been so much just even too, like because I remember when I was up in Tennessee and I remember meeting you and just watching from afar how you moved and how you operated and how strategic you stepped into it too. It was really cool. And that was
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And that was it. It was interesting to see as things grew. It was a very methodical planned is what you, and that's, you live out what you're talking about too. You don't just, just say it just to sound great. Like this is something that you truly live out. This is how you built your company, and
It is how we built it.
yeah, and that's what makes it sustainable. Simplicity, it makes sustainability, right? And that's where, that's where if you live it out and you're authentic and you're just genuine, makes life a whole lot easier, and a whole lot simpler.
It does. And transparency
Yeah.
would have been my third one.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan any of this out, but it seems to be an alliteration here: trust, team, and transparency. So maybe I should write all that down and plan a talk on it.
Hey man, we're gonna create a lot of different pieces of content out of this, so you'll definitely have that. That's where the gold comes from, brother. And I love it.
Start mining that.
So
start mining that.
Oh man, and that's where it's like with everything that you've done. I know that because with treating contractors, third party people, no matter what, even if they're part of your team, they could be employees or third party. It doesn't matter. And that's something that is when you take that stance, and everyone, because the thing is, it doesn't matter if they're third party or in house. They're your team. To the customers, to the world, they're you.
They represent you.
Yeah, and that's the kicker, is that with everything. I mean, goodness gracious, like, has there ever been a time where you had a crazy customer story or something that may have happened, where you had to step up and protect your team and stand your ground? And because there's a lot of things that are happening right now with contractors all over the nation, where customers will go out, ask for a quote, don't even get the job done, and then leave a bad review as if like they're entitled for them to come out and spend their day with them. Like, have you ever had that kind of thing happen?
That specifically, yes, I have.
How did you navigate around that?
So one comes to mind, and it's just kind of random, that just popped into my head with something you said. One of my estimators went out to a client in the busyness and hurriedness of 2021 and 22. Things are taking a little longer than expected. So it took about 2 weeks to get that estimate back to the client. So that was a little too long for them in their expectations. Quick note: set expectations, let people know what to expect and when to expect it.
Very key.
But and set those expectations and keep them. Anyway, finishing that story, she received the quote. She apparently did not like the price, which is pretty common nowadays because things cost a lot more than they used to. And it's unfortunate for us and for them. Very much. We don't like giving those prices any more than we like seeing them. I've been sticker shocked multiple times after finishing an estimate.
No, I only giggle on that just as a disclaimer for everyone who's probably like, anyways, I don't want that to come off wrong, because it is so common, and it is painful. Because
so if anyone's watching this and listening to this in like 2030, 22 kind of stunk a little bit.
Yeah,
and maybe things have come back into the right places in 2030. I hope so.
Right.
So but anyways, enough of future talk.
So.
Just because we know this is going into the ether and will last forever, right? So this customer did not like it, immediately went to all the platforms and started giving 1-star reviews. And with no explanation, just clicked on the 1-star and submit. And just started dinging us. And we're going, who is this person? So we start looking up, we find out it's actually a lead client of ours in our database. And I called the estimator. I'm like, what's going on, man? Does she not like you? He says, I don't know. I'm actually talking to her right now, and she wants to make some adjustments and sign the contract.
What? Okay, hold on. Yeah, keep going.
So she actually made some adjustments to the estimate, signed an agreement, and became a client of ours. And then eventually we had to contact her and ask her to retract those.
Or just update the review.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was probably a simple one, shocking one.
What was that reversal look like? You're like the sales reversal. Like, what was that like? WWE. Like, how did he? I gotta know. Like, so how did that conversation?
So I have some of the best, probably most kind and open and conversational estimators around. And they treat people with respect, and they are some of the highest integrity people. And I'm blessed. Like I said, God put these people in place for a reason. And this is it.
Yeah.
And when people ask, how am I finding help? And I'm not pulling my hair out trying to find people to do jobs for us. I don't have any accreditation except to God. He puts people in our path, and he gives us what we need every day. And I'm just like in astonishment, because I listen to everyone else out there going, I can't find help. I don't know what to say. Because we're not having that issue right now. Good people, good, hardworking, with integrity and discipline. I really don't know how the details went in turning that customer around, except to say that maybe there was some explanation involved. I was completely disconnected from it because I trust my team. Call back to that moment.
I was about to say, like that, and that's what's really cool is that in the highlight too, because getting out of your own way is,
yes,
ooh, like that's been, because here's the thing. If
Yeah.
people can't get out of their own way, and what that means is letting go of control and trusting in the delegation that that person's going to do their job, and even if something is a mistake is made, not to flip out and treat them like the enemy. A lot of times I'll see those, like a lot of contractors, just owner operators, just period, try to control every aspect of it. And and here's the thing, when they're not in control over it and a mistake is made, they regret it, immediately yank it back as if like they should have done the job in the first place. Like, and that's, I mean, I grew up, and I know you've heard this before. If you want the job done, do it yourself, or do it.
Oh yeah.
Like no, or the old saying of, that no one's going to care about your business as much as you will, and which is a fact. However, the culture of a company is bred by the owner. And
I would argue with that, though. I understand it's cliche, and there's a reason it's cliche. If you don't give them the love and trust and respect as employees, as a team member, no, they will never love your company the way that you do. However, if you do give them that love and trust and respect, and you treat them like team members and not, lower labor or worse, then it's just a job. They don't care. The key is trusting them, respecting them. It is nothing for Noah or myself to get on a job site and one of our carpenters tell us there's a better way to do this. And some business owners would, come up in pride and be like, this is the way I do it.
Right.
This is the only way. No, there's a dozen ways to do that.
Yeah.
And if this guy comes to you and says, there's a better way to do that, ask the question, tell me how.
Walk me through it. Like,
if it's not a good way to do it, have that conversation. It takes 5 minutes. Have a conversation. So if I'm talking to other business owners here, it's just respect them. Maybe their answer isn't correct, but maybe it's the new way you'll do business. You just never know.
When kind of like to summarize what you said, you can either be correct or you can show respect. And it's like, and that's a kicker too. Like my dad was one of those guys that would be like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. But here's the thing: company culture is led by the owner.
Exactly.
And the culture is a reflection of the owner. And that's what I hope everyone catches from this episode. Like, if they don't remember anything from this, like the buck stops at you. You're the owner.
Correct.
You have the ability to pour in and treat your employees like humans.
This is not original. But the buck stops here. Drew something out of me again. Everything negative that happens is the owner's fault. Take it, own it, wear it. There's a reason that happened, and you're probably the root of it. Everything good that happens is someone else's joy. Treat it as if they just won a medal. Respect them, celebrate them. Don't take the credit, take the blame as the owner, and give all the credit to the team. And if you do that, your team's going to work so hard for you, and they're going to give you so much respect that you can't contain what's coming at you. There's a lot of biblical truth in that too. We could go into that as well, but we won't right now.
Oh man, no, we can say that for another episode if you want to. But like that, goodness, I'd be wildly open to that if you are. But man, and that's something you said right there. The owner takes the blame and the team gets the credit. Here's like the biggest thing too is that with a lot of owners is that a lot of owner operators, what happens, and I know you can attest to this, is that a lot of being a business owner, it exposes a lot of different things about people. And if they're not ready to face it, the only way out is through, right? And
right.
If they are not willing to again, it goes back to getting out of your own way. Yeah, if you're not willing to be a servant, right? Have a servanthood mindset and not have a servant's heart, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to take everything on the chin. I mean, literally every single punch. I mean, everything that's coming at you, justified or not. And that's one of the biggest things was that man, I mean, anybody in general, it's hard not to take things personal, especially being a business owner when it's your baby, right?
Absolutely.
And that's when, I mean, I don't know if you have battled that. I mean, I think everyone does. Like everyone, no matter what, on an ongoing basis, we battle it because contracts get bigger, pressure changes. I mean, different circumstances changes, life happens, like all of that. As you, and I don't want to take too much more time, but to conclude the episode, like with everything, with as a walkaway, so as a takeaway for everyone who's watching and listening to the episode, like for them to really take that stance of taking the blame, because what's going to happen as adverse effect is exactly what's happening in your company. Is that people like they feel that emotional, that affection, they feel they're showered with that love, and in their eyes, you're taking the sacrifices, you're taking the hits, and that was what makes them work harder, because they don't want you just to carry that weight alone. Because the owner, this is something that the owner of Redline Steel even said. He said that the employees carry the weight, but the owner carries the real pressure.
Yeah,
and that's so true. It's so true. But anyways, with the takeaway, what would you leave all the listeners and those who are watching this episode, whenever they catch it, like what would you share with them if they don't remember anything from this episode? What would you want them to take away from this episode?
I think you summarized so much better than me. You make the sound bites sound so much better. I really like the alliteration that just came out of this is trust, respect your team, and be transparent. I think if you're a business owner out there, especially in the construction or service industry, if you can't do that with your team, you need a new team. But I am of the opinion that the majority of people in this world are good. I stand by that. It's the minority that causes us issues. It's the 1%, but the 99 are good. And if you truly had some deep conversations with the people that you think might be against you or not serving well, and you had those conversations, I think you'd find different. I think that people want to do the best they can every day. And if given the opportunity, they will.
That's awesome, man. And that's where And that's why I'm grateful to be friends with you. And
Thanks, man. Me too.
dude, and that's what's that's so powerful. So everyone, I mean, I just thank you for being on the show. Like, and that is where I want people, if they're in Tennessee, if they're even to considering moving to Tennessee, wherever they see this episode, even if they're contractors in other states, if they have people that are moving from that market to your markets, to the markets that you serve,
Mhm.
I would definitely want them to connect with you. So your links and everything we're going to be in the description of this
Great.
episode. Everyone, please connect with Rob. Whether you're, I mean, looking for a solid employer or somebody that you need, if you need work on your home done. Sorry, I have to sort of loud noise outside. But if you need work done on your home, please reach out to him and make sure that you connect with him. I'm pretty sure he has a pretty long booking list, and he's always hiring to make sure you can accommodate and serve those in his community. And Rob, again, man, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. It was a great time.